Hello everyone, you may notice the light, it's not cooperating. I think it's dead. It's not charging anymore and it doesn't really turn on much. So I'm gonna have to replace that if I want to go back to any sort of colorful lighting in the background. Today we're taking a look at some Foxeer and some HQ stuff. I've had this stuff around for a while, and of course with props, I am not a prop expert by any chance, and typically on this channel I just like to fly stuff and then share my experience with you. But one other thing I wanted to take a look at, and I don't know how this is going to turn out because I haven't done it yet, is you might remember this. This is the Armattan Tadpole. It's a 2.5 edition or 2.5 inch prop edition. And I was not very happy with the video reception on it. Now, I've already swapped out the VTX and I already tried some different antenna position, and it really didn't have much of an impact. And because I have these new Foxeer Lollipop antennas, I wanted to give them a try. And I'm also going to swap out the Emax Avon props, which are good props. They're very stiff. That's one thing about them, but they're good, efficient, and they have a good thrust, a good pop to them. I wanted to try some of these new HQ props, which I have been flying. They're new 2.5. They're low pitch props, and I've been flying it around on this little 2S guy. But I wanted to put it on the Tadpole just to get a different feel, just to compare them against another prop. And so we're going to do that in this video. So the first thing is, let's go down to the desk here and let's take a look at these antennas, because I tore one apart and what I found inside was kind of interesting to me. So the first thing I thought we should mention is these new props. Now, obviously these are very new. They were handwritten on here as far as some of these props go. I haven't flown the 2-inchers just yet. I'm looking at getting those on something here relatively soon to fly those to see what I think of those. But so I'm going to have to reserve judgment for these right now. But if you're looking for a 2-inch prop that fits that watermelon style, you know, HQ has got their own unique color scheme, the watermelon and the lemon. You might check those out. I've been flying, where's it at? This one right over here. Now, HQ asked me about these props having less thrust, and I thought that was a little bit of an odd question. I didn't feel that they had less thrust versus, say, any other prop and maybe a tri-blade. What I do think is that if you fly these props on an 0602 or 060X motor, that you might notice it having a little bit of less prop response because you are turning 4 blades. I've almost exclusively use 0802 motors. I don't care for the 0803 motors when it comes to these little micros, so I use a lot of 0802s. Sometimes I use 1102s if we're pushing bigger props, say 40 millimeter props. I do wish they had the tri-bladed version and a 40 millimeter, and this is a 35 millimeter HQ prop that came on the UZ65 or the UZ65, and I think those props are they're not as abrupt as far as if you're into racing, you probably find you have to change your tune a little bit to get that really sharp response out of your corners, or if you're doing 180 hairpin turns or something of that nature, you may find you have to change your tune a little bit. I find the lower pitch HQ props to be more of a smooth, you might say freestyle, although I'm not a very good freestyle pilot by any stretch, but I have found them to be well balanced. I haven't had any problems with the tuning on them. You know, make some simple changes and then you're off to the races again, or off to flying again. I've got another quad over here. It's I forget the frame name. The Hornet. I think it's called the Hornet HD. I'll put it on screen. I'm forgetting where I got this. So this is a DJI setup. You can see I've got these props on. This is actually the second set that I've put on here. First set I've banged up pretty bad, but I'm still working on tuning. I'm trying to use the traditional sliders in Betaflight 4.2 in order to tune this particular quad. And those of you that are going to want to see this, it will be coming to the channel eventually. It'll probably be another couple of weeks, but I've been flying them on here. And I think, again, when you're pushing a lower pitch prop, your expectation shouldn't be that it's as abrupt or as sharp because it has less pitch on the prop, but you probably find you get longer flight time and smoother flight. As far as smoother flight goes, you'll have to be less precise on the sticks. Maybe that's a bad way of saying it. It's going to be more forgiving on the sticks. Like if you come in from a dive and then you want to catch it real low to the ground and just start to cruise across the ground, I've noticed that you can really get on the throttle that last little bit, and then you can back it off real quick, and I don't get the same sort of response when I go to a higher pitch prop. So that's something to note in the flight response, is that you probably get longer flight and it's a little bit more forgiving, if that's a good term, on the sticks. But this has been a lot of fun. If you're looking for those, I'll put a link down in the video description. It's a very tight build. Of course, it's a Vista unit here, and I've got the traditional DJI camera in there as well. Like I said, I'm going to swap over, and then I'll get a little bit of opinion when I wrap this video up to see if maybe what I want to do is there's a little piece that goes with this kit that I had failed to use. This little thing right here, and through the comment section, several people noted that this was important to the build and the video reception. So that goes here in the back. I'm going to use this along with one of the lollipops. Let's see which one here. We'll just grab one like this. Of course, it's UFL, so I'll need to use that. And then we'll see if the video reception gets any better with that. Of course, I have another tester quad up here you might be asking about. I've been using those low-pitch HQ props on this as well. And I found with these 1102 motors, and these are only 7,000 kV, excuse me, 1103, 7,000 kV motors, that I've enjoyed these props on there as well. I originally started with gem fans. I stay away on these 11.0 whatever motors. I stay away from the Avon props because they are so stiff that when you have an impact that can transfer down to the motors, and these motors aren't the most durable as far as the hardness of their metal, so you might end up stripping out one of your screws or the mount or bending it. So I tend to go with props that are going to be a little more forgiving in an impact. I would much rather bend or break a prop than I would bend or break a motor. So that's why I've avoided using the Avons. I did use the Gem Fan 2540s on here for a time. I did not care for those on this particular quad. So if you're looking for a light setup, you might take a look at these props. They are the, sorry I didn't have a bag out, they're the 2.5 inch props that you see here. Handwritten note, they're 2.5 by 2 by 3. So of course, that's the prop I've been flying on this one, and you'll be seeing more of this. I've been doing some other flying to test other things on this particular quad, so if you want to see this quad fly, stay tuned to the channel. It'll be coming up in the coming weeks. I've been doing some additional battery testing with this one, and I'm going to try to include some flight footage because I know when it comes to battery testing, you guys do want to see something visually stimulating. So on this one, we'll be putting in this little piece and a Foxeer Lollipop antenna here. Let's see what else. I wanted to show you one of these I tore apart. Here it is. I was able to get this one apart, and you can look down in here and you can see that kind of that rubber piece, and it looks like some sort of adhesive or stickiness. So I just kind of with my needle nose squeezed around the base of this and then just popped it off, and it came apart relatively easy. You can see it's got a little lip down in there, but I thought this was fairly interesting how that antenna is designed. I don't know anything about antenna design, but I did not expect to find something like that in there. And I thought I would share it with you. Hopefully this is not proprietary information, but I suppose anyone can buy one, crack one open. If you're looking for a super durable prop, maybe get one of the bigger ones, because I tried to tear this apart, and I was using my pipe wrench and other tools that I had. You know, I wasn't trying to smash it, but I was trying to get it apart, and I just couldn't. So to me, that kind of means this sucker should be pretty dang durable. If I can't tear it apart, how are you supposed to break it? I think the part that would break would be the UFL, but if you take the time to zip tie this and maybe to your frame or something like that, then you just have this part sticking out. This part seems to be super durable. These antennas also come with other ends. If you need SMA or MMCX, you can get those as well. I'm probably going to think about using these in some installation for a full-sized air unit, so I'm going to keep those around. Now let's head outside, take a look at this and what happens when I put one of these lollipop antennas and this little rubber piece on the quad, and then we'll wrap up. We're jumping right into that flight, and the thing that I want you to pay attention to as far as the video goes is that bright flashing. That was something that bothered me a great deal. Obviously, you can tell this was some time ago when I originally reviewed the Tadpole frame, and I just want to give us a refresher on why I'm doing this, because it's one of those points of the video. And then in the second video of this same, we're going to see, in my opinion, improved video reception. So either that little rubber piece or that Foxeer Lollipop took care of that bright flashing that we get. We just get the normal VTX breakup. And then we also get to see that these props from HQ, these lower pitch props, sometimes you have to explore a lower pitch to get the flight time that you're wanting out of them. And here we are, we're going to jump in. Note the battery at storage voltage. And I chose this because of that. Because if you go back and watch my original Tadpole video, you'll find that the full flight that we had in the original video with the Emax Avon prop on the same battery, 2 minutes, 51 seconds, came in at 3.53 volts per cell. And we're going to fly this on storage voltage, 3.8.3, and we're going to get nearly 2 minutes. I think it's a minute and 47 or a minute and 52. And I thought that alone, without having to watch a bunch of video,
tells me the props are also more efficient. So if you're looking to fly a prop that is more likely to bend and not damage your motor, the Emax Avant prop is very, very stiff. It has the potential to transfer the blow that you have during a crash to your motor and hurting the motor. This prop is more flexible. It appears to be smoother, and it's more flexible, so it's more likely to bend rather than to shift that impact or that inertia onto the hardware itself. You know, I'd rather have as I stated previously, rather have a prop bend up than to damage a component that I have to actually get the soldering iron and the tools out for. And I also think that I might have been flying slightly higher camera angle, or I'm just flying with my eye line higher up into camera line, because again, if you go back and watch that original Tadpole video, I'm flying faster in my opinion. So if you want to watch, you can come and correct me. I'll put a card in the top right hand corner of the screen and you can look at it. Also with the VTX, it's worth noting that we have a lot more humidity, a lot more greenery. Those things are things that the VTX doesn't necessarily like, or at least the air flying over the airwaves, we tend to get worse reception this time of year than we do in that real dry season when I originally reviewed the Tadpole. Here we come in for our landing. Got a minute and 43 seconds, so I was close. We give it a second to recover. 3.53, so exactly the same landing voltage at a minute and 43. Again, the original review video was 2 minutes and 51 seconds, and that's on a fully charged battery. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think these props extended my flight time. I think I flew more aggressively. So that's a win-win in my book. Sometimes you just have to try different props on different machines just to see, you know, whether you like it more or the motors like it more. It increases your efficiency. Maybe it changes your control. I didn't retune this. Something else to note. And earlier in the video, I had shown you this. I blew up the board that was in here originally, so now I've got a different board in it, which we'll talk about that when this video finally comes out. But you'll note I switched props. I originally had the watermelon props on it, which we've got sitting out here, and those are the 3 by 1.8 by 3 or tri-bladed props, so 1.8 on the pitch, and I swapped over to the 2.5 on pitch. The reason why I did that was I wanted a little bit more pop. I wanted to be able to punch up over the house, get some good hang time. You know, we're towing a fairly good amount of weight here with the Caddx Vista and the full-size DJI camera, and I wanted to create some flight characteristics and performance that I want, and I don't feel like it really suffered on the efficiency side of things. So I think if you're wanting to use these lower pitch props, these 3-inch ones, maybe in a bi-blade as well. I'm not certain if my bag has bi-blades in it, but if you like the cornerability of tri-blades, I think you might want to try these on 1103 motors, maybe some 1203 motors or 1204 motors as well. I think they'll be a pretty good match, depending upon the KV, of course, as well. But adding this little lollipop and that little tiny rubber piece down there seemed to help my reception, so this will make this much more flyable. Of course, I do a lot of giveaways, and speaking of giveaways, thankfully I don't get too many questions about people saying, where'd the giveaways go? Most people understand that we're in a different time now. It's not that the giveaways are done on the channel, it's just that I'm not up for going to the post office or the shipper and standing in line with a bunch of other people. Once things get better, I have got a lot of stuff that needs to find homes, that needs to be flown, it needs to be crashed, it needs to be repaired, and so those things will be returning when we get on the other side of this thing. So kind of a rambling hodgepodge HQ Foxeer sort of discussion video. I haven't done one of these in quite a long time. Hopefully you guys got some good information out of this. We've got some new things coming to the channel. I've got a real baby tooth. I've actually got 2 of them. Running different motors and different setups and configurations. I'm just kind of tinkering with stuff. You see I got an XT30 on this one. I've got the BT 2.0 on this one, and I've got some batteries I've converted. I forgot to mention this prop. This prop over here, this is a 3-inch quad blade, and it's a lower pitch. Again, I think this is either 1.8 or 1.6. I did not care for this on this motor. These are the original Airblade 1404 motors, so very similar to this, and I just didn't care for this prop on it. I felt it made this quad feel floaty, but yet didn't give it much responsiveness or punch. So it seemed to be an odd combination of float, but yet didn't have any pop. So that might need a different motor, might need a lighter setup. Maybe it just needs a higher KV to take advantage of that. So I'm going to go back to a higher pitch prop and probably just tri-blades. Maybe originally I think I had bi-blades on this. So I'm going to be swapping out the prop. I just thought you might like to know that on this particular motor and setup, I did not care for this prop. Okay, enough for a rambling video. If you do have any comments, questions, suggestions, or otherwise, please let me know in that section down below. I appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.